Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Phillip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SETI Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party Network. I am your host, Daniel Prue, and joining me, as always, are my delectable co-hosts, Darren and Phillip. Guys, how was your week? Anything exciting happen?
It was delectable, Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was delicious and great with mint frosting.
Mint frosting. I got a new set of giant serrated knives. It was really great.
Nice. Some cut. What are they called? Cutco.
Cutco.
Yeah,
they work. They work really well on Troy cakes.
Troy cakes. Well, great. Did you guys do anything exciting this week? Any Star Trek in your lives?
Well, for stuff. So, like, I got my rule on Amazon, because sometimes I'm just getting utilitarian stuff, or especially in this Trexmas season, getting something for someone else. Actually, this particular package I'm about to talk about was for my work Secret Santa, and so I figured I'd get something that I thought the person would like, and I'm like, well, since I'm on Amazon, might as well get something for myself, So I ended up getting a United Federation of Planets flag, because, with the
Do you have a flag? No flag, no country.
With the Kelvin Star Trek, the ones I've seen have that sort of gear around the Starfleet symbol, which I don't get.
No.
But I found one that's, it's like my tattoo on my arm is the actual Starfleet symbol, or excuse me, the Federation symbol we all know and love. So I sort of use that now as a covering my doorless closet now. So I see it here in the Trek room. And then I was also involved with a offline, well, it's online because it was through the internet, Star Trek Secret Santa. And that was kind of cool. One of the other Star Trek podcasts out there had set it up, and so it was all on Twitter. And so that was kind of cool. I got a Borg Rubik's Cube, for lack of a better word, which I think is funny, because there's no way to know if it's solved. It's something to play with. And I also got a Captain Picard mug. So, but you can never complain about what you get in these things. So I always like to see some random stuff, because it reminds me of when I did I forget if it was Star Trek or not. I think it was. But it was loosely Star Trek, so you could get anything from any genre. And this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I got a Dalek egg cup, which is weird. But hey, it's one of those things where I'm not going to complain. You got something you would never get, obviously. So those are kind of the cool things about random Secret Santas. Because also, and when I went to my, and this may have been 2 weeks ago, so I may have just forgot to mention it the last time. When I went to my Star Trek club, my Bonaventure Starfleet International fan club Christmas party, we had one a couple weeks ago, when we did Dirty Ferengi, which is, like Dirty Santa, whatever, except we call it Dirty Ferengi, where, it's the whole pick numbers, and then you can exchange or steal or blah, blah, blah. So I ended up walking away with a 2009, or Star Trek 2009 DVD. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So I will have to figure out how to pass that along, because, all my stuff's digital. But still,
I had no idea that they changed the UFP logo in the Kelvinverse, and now I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, what's the point of that? Like, why bother redesigning that?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't look better; it looks worse.
Yeah, there's no reason to why even redesign it. It's such a clean logo in the first place.
Or if you're going to redesign it, then maybe a reimagining. But it's just like we put a gear around it. I'm like, well, why?
That's interesting.
Which is like the most unfuture scientific symbol ever.
Workers unite.
It might as well be a horse. So what about you, Darren? Anything interesting going on this week, or what?
Yeah, besides our cooking adventures, just a nice, holiday-ish weekend. All the weekends are kind of booking up, and time with friends and family is always nice. So, I did watch the first episode of Discovery. Is trying to match our rewatch. I'm a little behind where I need to be, but it's pretty binge-worthy, so shouldn't be too difficult.
I've been going. Well, luckily, we had snowpocalypse here in North Carolina, so I had some time in the past few days. But I was doing about 2 episodes a day, which sounds more than probably where I am right now, because I'm probably only. I think I stopped, so maybe I'm the 5th episode or something. I'm trying to figure out. He's already picked up Ash. Oh, I've already done the Save Sarek episode, and I think I'm on the one after. Oh, I know. I'm about to start the Magic Man time travel Harry Mudd episode. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah, I've also only made it through the first episode, but it'll pick up.
And I've been having. I don't know if my opinions changed, but I think I've appreciated different things, and then things that I didn't like or whatever. And then my wife's been watching it, so it's been again. But I don't think she saw every episode the first time around, so she's had some interesting opinions too. So it's been interesting. So I look forward to our series overview talk next month or whenever it is.
I cannot wait to hear Phillip say to apologize to all the listeners and to say I was wrong about the party scene. The party scene is fantastic.
Oh God, that's coming up.
And no, but actually, we did get a piece of new Star Trek content this week. We got the latest short treks. We got The Brightest Star, which focused on Saru and his origin story. Now, Darren hasn't seen it yet because he's...
Look, the economics of the present dictate that I'm holding out on redoing my CBS All Access subscription until January. So then I'll just watch them all. So
yeah, and that's only like an hour worth of content right there, so you'll be fine. But
it's like I get a whole other episode.
Yeah, you get a bonus episode. There you go. That's a good.
So then here's a question: when you're doing, and I mean, I'm not doing it now; it's too late. I was committed. But if you were doing your Star Trek Discovery rewatch, would you have to do short treks in chronological order? In other words, Saru's would be your first episode. Like you'd watch that first.
And then what the last one would be the Calypso, because it's like super far in the future.
So you'd watch Saru, what we were going to talk about here. You'd watch all of season 1, then you'd watch the Tilly one, and then you'd watch Calypso.
I don't know. I think I'd either watch all of them at the beginning or all of them at the end. I don't think I'd really need to spread them out. It's not like this puzzle
the
piece
Tilly
falls
one
into
makes more
place.
sense at the end than the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know when Harry Mudd's is going to be set.
That's
Or
true.
I don't think we know when Harry Mudd's is going to be set.
No, I don't think we don't.
In
which
the
is
future.
It should be set in the future, I assume. Yeah, anyways, so it's called The Brightest Star, and Phillip and I will do a little bit of talking. And you can maybe ask some questions or something, Darren. But I enjoyed the episode. It's basically a origin story for Saru.
Saru, issue number 0.
Yeah. And it tells the story about him. What is the name of the? I want to say Kelpia is not right.
No, it's not. Which I thought was interesting that they didn't do that, like Kelpia Prime or Kelpia One. It's something, but I can't remember it.
So basically, it's a. I mean, like all these stories, it's a small scale story, and it's mostly told through Saru and his, I guess you would say, traditionalist father and his sister.
He's a pastor's kid.
Yeah, he is.
Huh.
I mean, it is a very yes. There's a lot of that element in the story, and we get basically Saru dreaming about the stars bigger than his station and trying to kind of break out of the constraints of.
What is his station?
Society.
Is he Master Fishmonger or like what?
Well,
is his...
I thought the interesting thing that this revealed, or in as much as it is interesting, is that it's a pre-First Contact society. It's pre-warp.
Yeah, which is what I was picking up. I'm like, these don't seem like warp-capable people, so how is Saru in Starfleet?
Yeah, and so that was sort of, I mean, not to skip to the end. I'm not going to skip to the end. But I mean, that was sort of, I think, as you go on, you've learned that and so basically, it's sort of like, is it the short story? Where is it where the village gives people every year, to sacrifice? Whatever, I know that's like a famous story or whatever. But anyway.
But yeah, that's
Sure.
basically what's happening here. And
so he gets sacrificed to the thing in the sky.
Well,
Yes,
we learned
exactly,
away that there is something that comes down and takes, quote unquote, or it's ambiguous. It's not clear.
Because his father is this. We're going to loose terms. His father's a priest, and in that society, death basically, or your sacrifice, or whatever this thing is called, is seen as an honor or as a no big deal. It happens to everyone. Like at one point, Saru asks, "Well, what if I do it?" And you probably say, "Well, that's the natural part of life. That's part. I'd be honored when you do this." So anyway, his father's issue, or as leading people to this place on the beach. They all get in a circle. The beam or whatever comes down. They're gone.
Oh, so it takes like a whole group at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of the circle of life. Sort of.
And this is in order to maintain the balance, quote unquote.
The balance.
Right. But we don't
sort of,
see any actual benefit of it. We just know if we don't do it, bad things will happen.
it's
we don't.
way
There's
of
no.
life.
Yeah, there's no. It's the strict sort
Tradition.
of tradition, and there's nobody seen rebelling against it. We don't know where it started or how it came to be, and you only see these people, these Kelpians, disappear. We don't know what actually happens to them. They may be killed, but obviously it's Star Trek, so it's very easy to just take people away. And
now it's not a plot hole, but I had questions part was that apparently in this beaming process, for lack of a better word, stuff gets left behind, and some transporter trash or whatever. And so the priest's job is to collect it and then dispose of it, because we're not allowed to keep anything that we find as the tradition. And apparently, here's a box that or whatever case, and he tells his son, Saru, get rid of this. We don't need to have this. And it turns out to be a transmitter. And
so is that like whoever beamed them up happened to have junk lying on the transporter pad and it swapped? Like what?
It's kind of a plot hole for me.
It's unclear. It's very unclear. But what happens to fall from the ship is a very intact piece of technology.
Well, is it intact, Daniel? Because I did get that Saru's been sort of hoarding a little bit. Like he's like the Little Mermaid. He's Ariel, where he has
his father is King Triton. Oh, I picture it now.
He has his chest full of thingamabobs. He's got 20, and apparently some of those are enough to fix a subspace transceiver. Actually, it's a subspace texting transceiver.
It is text, and it's only 5 characters. You can only have 5 characters on the
what,
screen at a
like
time.
up, down, left, right, or like what?
It's like an upside down calculator.
It's basically like a calculator screen, and he types
hello
boobs on it. No, hello. He types hello on it, and
Saru number 1.
Yeah, and
so Saru,
yeah,
Saru. He's got these big dreams. He's talking about the brightest star, which is the name of the episode. Talking about what should we fear? Why should we fear the space and all this stuff?
Fear looking up, basically.
So wait, they believe that people can live in space? Like again, that seems a bit of a stretch from a pre-war.
Well, except people disappear from the sky.
Yeah, there's
true.
A spaceship that comes down and takes the people. So
I guess that's it. Part of their culture.
They're aware enough that there are others out there.
And then there's this one time where this big starship came out of the ocean, and it's another society. Sorry.
And so Saru starts contacting someone.
Hello.
And, the big spoiler of the episode.
Data? Oh no!
Well, which I thought this was the confusing part, I guess, before we get spoiler, was because it then led me to believe that the people taking the Kelpians was who was revealed. I'm like, well, that can't be right. Because it's like, here's a transmitter, which you would think that, well, you're obviously contacting the people who left the transmitter. I mean, who else is hanging about? But apparently, or was it?
Yes. So we will get into that, but I wanted to say to your point, to Darren, that it's it gave me vibes of that episode with Data
Pen Pals,
Pen Pals, because surprise, surprise, we have a younger Lieutenant Georgiou who shows up, and that's who he's been contacting.
Wait, so Georgiou has been kidnapping Kelpians?
No. So that's not the same.
Is it? Yeah, I know.
It's left a little unclear.
Oh, so whoever is kidnapping Kelpians had the space trash, which was a Starfleet transmitter.
Well, it wasn't necessarily Starfleet transmitter. I didn't see any insignia. I mean, I have to watch it again. I just thought it was a random.
But it connected to Georgiou.
Well,
I think they were just listening. So what she says, her line is,
well, who watches the Watchers? Maybe.
Her line is basically, this was a blankety blank transmitter, and we know you don't have that technology yet. Meaning the Federation is obviously aware of whatever this other race.
Okay, so they're observing the Kelpians.
Yes. He was sort of passed a test that we didn't know there was one of like, oh, you were able to use this, so hey, you want to leave this stupid town? And he's like, yeah, heck yeah.
So that's their loophole as to why they can violate the Prime Directive, because they already have knowledge,
them,
and they already have knowledge of extraterrestrial life, which. That's a big cornerstone of it.
50 to 60% of their conversation is in-universe justifying why she's allowed to do this. She's basically like, I had to call in 10,000 favors.
Right.
We had to break 12 rules. This is not how we normally do things. So it's actually... it kind of breaks canon in a little bit of ways.
And luckily, it's at nighttime when nobody can see a shuttlecraft landing a mile away from the village. But anyway.
So basically she says, do you want to... if we leave, you can't come back. You never get to go home again. And he says, okay.
Yeah. Like, F my family.
So that also is cool because that establishes... I mean, we never knew exactly when she and Saru, like, met each other, but now we know that she was a major part of that.
Yeah. Though, then... And I don't know. I'm of two minds. One, it is cool because you're like, oh, it's Giorgio, and she's not being a crazy mayor person. But then it's all like, well, okay, she personally recruited every flaming person on the Shinzu. You know, I called Sarek and got Michael Burnham. I got Saru and collected him, and we'll find out Robo Lady's story next year.
Yes,
let's
find
I mean, I'm not gonna complain for that, but yeah.
But
But it was cool to see regular Giorgio again, and she basically justified it by saying, like, you are exceptional. You are like the only person of your species to do this, to have this capability. It was interesting. It's, the basic premise of the plot of sort of going against societal norms, in order to kind of rise above your station. That's good stuff. That's good, solid stuff.
being a dreamer,
Yeah, being a dreamer is good. Look towards the stars, that sort of stuff.
optimism and positivity and the possibilities and heart of an explorer, all that. But I guess, it does, you can infer, I think, safely that he's the only Kelpian in Starfleet then.
Hey, you know what I just thought of? But it's kind of sideways, crooked. But the Kelpians in the Mirror universe,
Right.
there were other Kelpians. So I wonder if their
planet was subjugated or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So anyways,
they're not human.
But I think, the mystery, and which is fine. I'm good with mystery, but who's taking Kelpians? Like, in other words, I think one thing we had talked about in the past.
Oh, so you think they might actually delve into that in this next
I
season?
assume so.
But I'm saying, we had talked about, like, oh, well, if we know the prey species, well, then who's the predator species? And so I would have thought it would have been a little more literal instead of just mysterious in the sky, predatoring.
Yeah, I do assume that's a thread they'll pick up because it's left so ambiguous and so sort of open. I don't see the writers just leaving it there.
Daniel, really?
I really do. I do think they'll pick up on it. I bet you they will. And I mean, obviously, Saru's a principal character. It makes sense to go to his roots. I bet you $1,000 they're going to go back to Kelpian zone,
which is not the name of it. Yeah,
I know. I can't remember the name of the planet, but we're going to see his sister again, and we'll see his dad. Yeah. I bet you anything.
Well, we won't see his dad. The dad will have died. Because that'll be the emotional point of where he has to deal with that.
Well, it's an old story. If he learns, I'm sure it'll come down to a conflict of.
It's like Fortunate Son on Enterprise.
Yeah, or it's like he wants to save his people, but it goes against a lot of rules. So,
but it was good, and we got a tiny glimpse of the Harry Mudd one, which is coming up next month. We'll see. It was 3 seconds of flash cuts. So, but okay, so we got that out of the way, and now we're going to move on to our main topic.
You mean our main course?
Oh, hey-oh.
I see what you did there. So, we as humans, as biological creatures, we spend a good amount of time both trying to track down and consume and processing food. This is a massive part of being alive, a living creature. So I thought, let's do this. Let's explore this from the Star Trek perspective. And so I tasked you guys. I gave you a little bit of homework. And I said, guys, there's a trillion different referenced dishes out there. Let's pick a couple each and make it, and we'll see how it. Obviously, this is we're not actually going to have Heart of Targ. There's no such thing, but we could try to approximate it as close as we could to something, and then we could kind of through that use it as a conduit to talk about food in the 23rd and 24th centuries, and the 22nd, I suppose, as well. Or up to the 29th. I don't know. How long we want to go with this thing. But, so let's start doing this. We'll do a little bit of a round table here, and Darren, I'll let you go first. Tell us one of the dishes that you picked, why you picked it, and how it turned out.
And what episode it's from.
Yes.
Oh, so it's a little bit more research than I had prepared, but I do know the name and the series it's from, but I'd have to look up where. So we prepared a delicious icoberry torte. If you're gonna go into the into the gamma quadrant, you need icoberries. I mean, it's like latinum for them. It's really important. So, icoberry torte is basically like a berry kind of custard, kind of pie-ish, and it was delicious. It was so yummy. We had it with a little scoop of vanilla ice cream, and it was just it won over the entire crowd. We were definitely keeping the recipe and putting it in the contract negotiations, of course. But it was delicious.
Now,
so icoberry is...
Yeah, the Homecoming is the name of the episode. Cisco would order it with a nice Ractigino, apparently.
It was also referenced in Sanctuary. Jake Sisko recommended it as well. So, so in place of icoberries, what was it? It looked like blueberries that you had, right?
Yeah, we just had a bunch of mixed berries. Yeah, we had blueberries and my wife made this whole kind of cranberry layer thing from like scratch that was really, really yummy. So yeah, I mean almost any berry works. If you don't get your Delta Quadrant icoberries, store bought is okay.
Oh, that sounds really good.
There's a difference between the replicated versus the homemade.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, no, it was really yummy. And the tricky thing with the recipe site we got a lot of things from is we believe a lot of the original recipes were UK because we had a lot of conversions.
Daniel.
Sorry.
Do you know how much converting I had to do? Americans don't convert. We're not known for our converting, okay?
Well, Philip, it sounds like you may have a story as well to tell. Let us know your first dish was.
Unless you're a drug dealer, I don't know how many grams go into a, Well, I'll go in order of how I picked up my recipe page here. This is actually the second one I made, but still I'll talk about it. I made the Miles O'Brien potato casserole, which was interesting because it did not...
What, no sea berries? I mean, come on. Sea berries are where it's at, Philip.
This is actually from the episode The Wounded. Do you remember Miles is not happy with... He's newly married. Miles is not necessarily happy with the Asian food that Keiko, not necessarily where he comes from, but he's like, we're exchanging cultures, which is what you say after you've already been married and had no dating process.
When you want to get half of your way. Yeah.
No, just like, you've never tasted Asian food from your wife who you've now married to. But anyway, so he's like, well, I'll make you something for my home, and it's potato casserole. So, which I made, and this is also when I was showing the list of recipes to my wife. This was something that she thought would be good, coming from her UK experience. She's always crazy about any kind of potato. But anyway, so it was. Now there are baby capers in the recipe and in the episode, which Keiko complains about. When I gave the recipe to my wife to look at, because I was like, hey, can you just highlight what we don't have? Yeah, I'm that guy. And next to the baby caper, she put in parentheses, or not, yuck, exclamation point. So
remind me, what is a caper again? Is it like a little pepper thing or a garnish? Or?
We looked it up, and it still didn't really answer what it is. So it's just no, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But, I mean, it's pretty basic. It's sort of a potato casserole. I mean, what's in there? Cream, salt, pepper, nutmeg. So the nutmeg's very interesting. It's hard to describe taste, but it is a different kind of potato casserole than I've had in the past, but good different. Now, when we were comparing it to the episode clip, his was a little bit thicker than how mine turned out. And I was asking my wife, what do you think I did something wrong? She's like, I don't know, maybe we could have left it in longer, but then I don't know, it was pretty brown when I took it out. So anyway, but it was good. So long and short of it, it's pretty good. We had it as a side dish. The nutmeg, definitely a different, it's the season. I don't know if y'all are eggnog people, but that's usually the only nutmeg experience I get. But it was interesting.
Now you said it was a side. Was it a side to some of your burnt replicated bird meat? Or?
So, now, my initial idea of what to make for a full good Star Trek experience for food was to eat 12 chocolate sundaes. But my wife said that wasn't allowed, so... I mean, I was feeling depressed, and so...
it's a little bit... I wasn't expecting a lot of human food when I started this project, but it's interesting to, although, it's that kind of thing that Star Trek sometimes does, where it's like, in terms of representation, it's like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, where, like you mentioned that episode specifically, where Keiko only has Japanese food, and O'Brien only likes Irish food.
potatoes and beer.
It's like,
ale.
okay.
Well, I mean that's fair. I'm not a food person. Honestly, I don't have a very expanded palate. I'm a gravy, mac and cheese, chocolate. That's about my food diet right there for what I would prefer. So a lot of this stuff, and I don't cook. I mean, I'm gonna be the stereotypical person. So my wife did help a little bit on this one. I mean, she cut up the potatoes. So, I mean, this is a pretty easy recipe. I would say pretty easy recipe. I mean, I did everything else, but it's not that hard.
Well, so for my first thing, I went in a little different direction than you guys did. We went for an adult beverage instead, and not just any adult beverage, but one that's outlawed in the Federation. So obviously, it's in a ton of things, but I guess it's most famous for Star Trek VI. Probably,
right.
I would assume.
Star Trek 3 also.
Yeah, it's been a zillion. I would think that
or Star Trek 2. Excuse me. Sorry.
The most prominent thing would be Star Trek 6, but it's been in probably almost every version of Star Trek. I would imagine.
It's their favorite thing to say is not legal, but yet have plentiful bottles of.
Everybody has it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like not legal. Wink, nudge, nudge. What is it, like the Federation, Department of, what is it, Alcohol and Tariffs or something, was going to storm through?
So it's like the kind of same stigma that Cuban
Hold on,
cigars.
I was staying with that one for a while. So it's like they burst in. Oh gosh, are you like Red Squad? No. Oh, are you Section 31? No, not really. Oh, are you what were the guys from Enterprise?
Was it like the Makos?
The Makos? No, we're from the Federation Alcohol.
It's like alcohol, tobacco, and phasers. Is that what their shirts say?
Yeah. So it was a pretty simple recipe. It was just some vodka, some club soda, some lemon lime soda. And of course some curacao because that's blue.
I was going to say, how'd you get the color?
Yeah. So it's a simple cocktail, but tasty and effective. I had two drinks.
Well, I don't know what that means, but yeah.
I had 2 drinks. It wasn't. I wasn't hungover the next day. Couldn't make it to the bridge.
You made it wrong, then.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe rum and ale should be illegal.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it is.
Thanks, Jordy. Thanks. Really being a friend there.
But no, it was quite good. A little extra that we added to it that's not screen accurate, but just to add a little kick was we put some blueberries in for a little extra flavor.
Oh, just like Saru.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I thought you said you added a tiny umbrella, which would not be screen accurate.
Yeah, it would definitely not be the screen accurate. Yeah.
Like a little.
Well, it's funny you're saying screen accurate. It's like, yeah, because I didn't get real fresh icoberries either. So,
you know what? I should have just went with the theme and then had some maple syrup mixed with something for Canar.
Oh God, that would be disgusting.
Yeah, I remember Casey Biggs talking about. It was some sort of corn syrup mixed with something that he had to drink, and he said it was terrible for all of his scenes. But anyways, that was I didn't bake, no potatoes,
right?
But it's a Star Trek staple.
Yeah.
See, I always felt yamak sauce sounded disgusting to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah,
the way they describe it just sounds really disgusting. Like a mustard is what I picture. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's almost like a little bit. It's like thinner. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just from like blah blah blah.
I think
that's from the one with like the stem bolts, right? The yamak sauce, the stem bolts, and the desk.
All right, Darren, what did you do for dish number 2?
Okay, dish number 2
for beta shift.
Yeah, for beta shift. We had Cisco stuffing with tarragon.
Man, you were on a Cisco theme here.
Oh man, it was good. So this is from Blaze of Glory, and this is also an eating opener because I think they're eating some Ferengi food because they had previously had some Federation food. It was like pureed tube grubs or something. It did not sound good. We did not have that. Instead, we had delicious stuffing.
How
and
human.
Yeah, I know it was really good though. And then he was sad he had to run off and fight Michael Eddington. And not finish his food. But yeah, both of mine were from Deep Space Nine. So again, we were already planning to have kind of a traditional holiday-ish meal. So we had turkey and a couple sides, but then we rolled in these two sides, the dessert, for the icoberry torte, and then this replicated Cisco stuffing with tarragon. It was very good. I maybe wasn't. Not that it wasn't as good as the torte, but the torte was definitely
it's
like
a different genre.
Yeah, that's what everybody was like. Okay, we need more of this. The stuffing, it was like, okay, stuffing is good.
Well, what makes it unique? I mean, with stuffing sometimes can be stuffing. I mean,
It has tarragon.
I'm a fan of stuffing. Don't get me wrong. I'm a carb loader. That's why I'm fat. But what made it different?
I think it's really just the tarragon. It's the you have a bunch of minced, tarragon or sage, and then you have all the spices, the thyme. You have, I think we didn't put in a leek because I didn't think we had one, but we had, there's celery and just all those different, just stick to your ribs kind of food that just tastes so good. A little bit of butter, and all that stuff. So it was good. I think it was just one of those things where it's just the combinations and the proportions just tasted good, because that's really all it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I would think, I don't know what Cajun stuffing would be like, but I would just, with Cisco, you'd always think it has that sort of flavor to it.
Yeah. I mean, Deep Space Nine is obviously rife for.
I feel like you say "bam" a lot when you're cooking stuff on Cisco.
It's like Emerald Lagasse.
So, what about you, Philip? What did you pick for dish number 2?
Now, there's not a dish number 3, but let me talk about it for a second. I did print out 3 recipes. One that I printed out, it was not something that sounded great, but I was like, this is an adventurous experience. Try something you normally wouldn't have. And so I was looking at the Hasperat recipe.
Oh, I was thinking of that. That was on my short list.
But the reason I didn't, and this is going to be very
It's like spicy hot burrito, basically.
Yeah,
like
veggie.
like a
wrap. It was like a wrap, spicy wrap. Which I was like, I'm not a spicy person. I'm really a baby about it. But I'm like, you know what? I'll try it. New things, right? But my wife was like, this takes like a week to make or something.
Yeah.
Like, there was one part to that.
Like
I was like, oh, well, never mind that one because it's like due it by tomorrow.
I was eyeing the Jumja sticks on my short list.
What were they made out of from the recipe?
The recipe, it's golden syrup, treacle, sugar and water. So super.
See, a lot of the challenges, Daniel, is that a lot of this is actually in British. So like treacle is not necessarily something that you. So like for instance, like castor sugar, which was in what I'm about to talk about, is not very American. So like it's confectionery sugar in America.
Yeah, it's
basically.
like so you have regular sugar, confectionery sugar, golden syrup, and water. So it's just sugar in an Odo puddle, that's basically what it is.
And that's the thing too, like the website that I found was good because it had a lot of recipes, but I wasn't necessarily trying to be totally stuck on that, because like to me, Jumja sticks are like meat popsicles.
See, I always thought they were like popsicle-ish, like sweet rather than savory, but we never know,
But
anyway, so what did you do?
Well, speaking of sweet, you know me. You know what I go towards. And that's the desserts. Me and Troy. So I went with the Thalian chocolate mousse.
Ooh.
Yes, from the episode The Dolphin. This is apparently what Wesley tries to seduce changelings.
So that's a Thalian, not Tholian.
Correct.
Because I don't think they're...
They're known for their dessert pastries.
Eating carbon-based foods,
At 500 degrees.
At 500 degrees Kelvin, Yes.
Their whole thing is just a big oven. Now, this is basically a very non-cook, like you said, Daniel, with your ramen. I mean, there's no... Other than melting chocolate, which, I did in the microwave, because the recipe said you can either microwave it or do this thing that's very complicated. So I was like, okay, microwave sounds great.
I mean, because we never pretend our microwave's a replicator. Ever.
So I didn't do the optional topping, most likely probably because I didn't see it, but also because it was like, it's coconut and Pop Rocks, and those are not usually around the house.
Pop Rocks, really?
Yeah, that's you take for the topping is you would, which I didn't do. You mix together the desiccated coconut and the Pop Rocks in a small bowl. Then you spoon it on top of the mousse, and then
what is that supposed to do?
Be awesome, I guess. But
Make
anyway,
you throw up. I don't
probably
know.
make it a little alien, honestly. Probably. So.
Well, I see. It's a deliciously rich and smooth dessert, which topped with a literally out of this world top. No, it's not
exactly.
really. No.
But anyway, for the mousse, and I don't know. Look, I'm not a whatever. So all that said, I'll tell you the end result. So I had my wife. Of course, she tried all these things. And her response is very, very rich. She said it like 20 times, very rich. And I'm digging through this whole thing.
Did you tell her the economics of the future are a little different than...
Well, she's like, there's no way I'm going to eat this whole thing, and I'm basically done with this through a half-hour podcast here. So that just tells you, depends upon your taste. But also, it's a little... I mean, mousse is thicker, right? I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm going to pretend like I am when I say this. So mousse is not pudding. Let's make sure we make that, You just can't put... this mousse is very different. So it's thicker. It's supposed to be. But that said, I probably could have been fluffier, if that's a word. Because when I was... this is actually fairly easy to do, but it is a little involved here. So I had to do some... I've never done, watch the YouTube video on how to do this for cooking. Because, again, I'm not in the kitchen. But I did have to, I know it's going to sound stupid, but, I don't know how to separate an egg. So I was like, just do that. Or how to fold in... how to fold in egg whites into the, sort of the... chocolate stuff. I was like, oh, what do they mean by that? So I had to YouTube some things because I'm stupid. But anyway, I know because you have to separate the eggs, and when you have this egg whites, and with the egg whites you put in some butter, egg whites. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, you're supposed to whip... Oh, I know. Egg whites and the caster sugar, which we just use confectionery sugar. Or I did. But I was supposed to beat the egg whites until it got into this almost fluffy form, but it just never looked nothing but like egg whites. So apparently if I had done it more, it probably would have been a little bit more... Because when I was watching the video, the egg whites almost look like whipped cream. And I'm like, no, mine just looks like egg whites.
Stir, whip, whip, stir? Because that's the out of this world.
Or AB, up, down, something. So anyway, but that being said... but I'm not complaining. So other than that, maybe it could have been a little bit more fluffier, but I think it turned out really awesome, and I will definitely be eating everything that my wife doesn't eat.
Well, that's great. So I will say that not everything turned out well. There may have been a
Janeway incident.
O'Brien!
So this entire idea, the Star Trek food idea, was actually my girlfriend's idea, and so we were talking about it, and I'm like, well, in my mind, one of the more iconic, traditional sort of dishes in Star Trek is that we hear all the time is gagh.
Okay.
We're always
Right.
hearing
I was going to say Ractagino, but if you want to go gagh, that's...
No, I looked up the Ractagino. There was something kind of that was weird about it. That was like, I don't know where... you basically have to get Turkish coffee, and then you also had to get sort of a special tool, which I'm sure is not impossible to get, but nothing I had.
Like a French press or something?
No. I don't even know what it's called. But anyway, it's like you put the coffee in the special tool and stuff. And then I was like, that sounds really complicated.
Yeah, and I hate coffee. I would never. But anyways, so the internet is entirely split on how do you make...
Live
believe it or not,
replicated.
And how do you make... I mean, because, okay, so gagh in the show is actual just living worms. I mean, and certainly we're not going to be eating those.
How do you get them to move?
Yeah, and that's... okay. So there's lots of questions, right? And so, some of it's like we found a recipe that was like shiitake mushrooms, and it's like, oh, God, that sounds terrible. I'm not going to do that. That sounds
the whole thing is mushrooms?
It's just like a mushroom paste shoved into a tube.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
So I'm like, I'm going to do that. So we found. So we actually decided to experiment, and I don't know. Maybe there was. So okay. So have you ever ever seen? Have you ever seen the show or heard of the show or the meme Nailed It?
Yes. It's on Netflix.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're just basically the idea of where you see these amazing creative people on Pinterest or Twitter or whatever. They make these amazing things. They're like, here, just follow this recipe and it'll be amazing and you'll have this thing. And then the regular people who try to do the thing, and it's terrible and it's awful. And that's basically what we did. We tried to do it and make some gagh, and it turned out...
It reminds me of that episode where Riker is cooking, and he's like, well, this egg is egg-shaped, so I'm sure it's like, no, like an egg needs to be a certain way, or it's not going to work at all.
Down on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
So
tell us what we gotta give some details, Danny.
we tried to improvise. We tried to kind of create our own thing. We tried to make some brownish looking
right.
Jello
Okay.
that could be made into worm-like strands, which turned out to be a more difficult challenge than
I could
expected.
see.
I say I could lend you my little creepy crawlers casting tin.
Oh man, that would be great. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you would do that. How do you make a tube of Jello?
So our attempt was with straws.
Okay.
So you get your Jello.
But how do you get the Jello out?
That turned out to be the biggest problem.
So now you have a bunch of straws with Jello inside of it, which I think would be cool. I mean, that would be a cool treat. You just like pick up a straw and go. No.
Except
cool.
it's way harder to do after the Jello has solidified. So
Oh. Well, that's more of a like.
I was gonna say, it reminds
When you
me
get that
like if
really
you ever
thick
try to
milkshake.
if you ever try to eat like a Wendy's Frosty with a straw, they just don't even give you straws because it just collapses in on itself.
Guys, straws is killing the earth. So I hope you aren't using straws.
we bought like a 40 pack.
Oh my god!
Unfortunately, just
This
for
is how World War III starts.
So it didn't turn out well. I do have a picture which I'll probably forward. It's a pathetic one worm gagh. That's all soupy
I'm wondering if you
and looks terrible.
did you get like maybe if you should got like those super thick straws.
Or maybe if you froze it and then cut it out,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You
that
cut
way
it
it
out.
keeps its shape.
So the best thing that we came up with towards the end, and then we were just kind of running up against time, was actually to...
What is it, like chopped? You got like 30 seconds left. You're just like jamming Jello in there. Plate it.
You must use all the ingredients inside this basket, and the mystery ingredient is
With
gagh.
straw. No, I like it. Mr. Ingredient straws and Jello. I don't know.
So actually, once we kind of learned, like, if we boiled the straws a little bit, they kind of would slide right out a little bit.
Okay.
But
But then you boiled the Jello, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it
Look,
was like it's
Phillip,
a tough.
this isn't Duranium Chef, okay? You know, it's...
It was a really tough balance, and we didn't have the time to really find it. So, unfortunately, gagh was a failure, but also a learning lesson.
Though, unfortunately, in Klingon chop, what happens to the person is...
Oh, man. No, wait, what's the one where Worf is eating... or no, it's Riker's eating all that food, and he's like Pippius Claw.
yeah,
and
that's
blood.
it's
It's
that's
the
where
exchange one, right?
That's the exchange one, yeah.
yeah, the Good of Honor. The Good Honor one we did.
The Good of Honor.
Well, it's
the
not
good,
Code
the
of
good honor
'cause
plays.
That's the bad one, right? Yeah, I forget, whatever.
That's the one where we learn a lot. Targ Heart,
Yeah, Heart of Char.
Yeah, Pippius Claw.
Gog. Yeah.
something else, I think. And he's got this weird, like, Bloody Mary thing with a... Like
Yeah, with the shrimp cocktail kind of thing.
something
almost.
sticking
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up. What was it? The Heart of Targ. Was that like liver or something?
Yeah.
And I was, like, no, thank you.
It was some weird...
Wait, so
meat
what,
that-
what was the
like,
episode called?
The Hippies claw was like octopus, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can just go to the grocery store and get octopus. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So, but I guess what else would you get for that? So,
So anyways, I think that we all had interesting experiences, and we had...
now I'm thinking of the Klingon. It would be like chopped. It'd be like chopped, something.
Good job. What do you think that the Klingons use just batleths in the kitchen?
Well, they have the Targs too.
Now I'm picturing a butcher block with all of the different sized batlets and the little maktas in them.
So it goes in order, like...
Yeah,
It's like the
well, you
big
have the
wooden
big
block that you have
yeah.
for all your knives, but it's like
Yeah, it's like batlets, and then like you have like the instead of the steak knives, it's the makbas all on the front.
I actually would really think a...
Come on, get on it.
on a smaller scale. Yeah.
A Klingon cooking show would be really entertaining.
that does
No,
sound
I'm
like...
not just picturing like the or the infomercial with like, not only can this batleth kill your enemies, but it can also slice this tomato.
And now I'm just picturing Klingons at home, and they're just all like, oh, like they're really into it. Klingon cooking show, it's gotta happen.
Yeah. Good chopped.
So, anyways, let's
Good
talk
job.
real quick. We have a few minutes left, and I wanted to lead this into a broader conversation about what food in the future would be like, what we expect it to be like. Listen, I actually kind of also wanted to use this as an excuse to rant against Joseph Sisko for
Oh,
his...
wow. Okay. It's going to be that kind of
Beating
podcast.
up the old guy? Okay, Daniel,
Jeez.
whatever turns you on.
Look, he's not Admiral Cartwright. He looks just like him, but I'm telling you, he's not Admiral Cartwright.
Only for his super, like, hipster attitude about replicators?
Yeah.
Like, old man attitude about replicators?
It's really true.
That's so stupid.
Well,
I feel
it's like
that's stupid.
John Luke's brother, Robert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The same thing. Same thing. Old man, get off my lawn. Replicators are stupid.
Yeah, it's. I guess if for them though, they like cooking, and that the antithesis of taking that away.
Well, you don't take it away.
I was watching the clip of The Wounded for my potato casserole, and it's funny when Miles is talking to Keiko about this. He's like, "Oh, this reminds me of I think it was his grandmother, maybe it was his grandmother, but the smell of my grandmother's kitchen." She's like, "She cooked, like she touched the ingredients and like actually cut, like it was so." I mean, it's funny over the top of like cooking, and like you use the measurements to, I mean, she didn't really say that, but that was sort of like the awe of like, oh my god, cooking. Why would you? She really did that ancient magical practice.
Yeah, like, do we actually? That's such a weird and interesting question. Would anyone cook?
Goodness knows I want it. I don't even do it.
Like,
now,
does
so.
Cisco's restaurant make any sort of sense in this world?
Well, does the concept
I mean,
of a restaurant actually make sense?
Yeah. Well,
That's
but think
what
about it. Because Shar and Tristan actually talked a lot about this on Punch It, yeah, where they were talking about not specifically cooking, but about everyday life in the
Federation. 9-to-5ers.
Yeah, and I would think the reason you would go to a restaurant is, a couple reasons, like the experience, of going out. I think also just the diversity and the difference. I mean, yeah, you could have, 5 different or 50 or whatever different like recipes that are in the replicator for, I don't know, a chicken sandwich, but that doesn't mean it's going to taste the same way as something that is, I mean, at least that's what we've kind of been told in Star Trek, is that, there is a flavor difference.
But is there? Or is that just people being people and just acting like that?
Well, it's the placebo effect. If I told you this was replicated, you'd be like, oh, this doesn't taste very good. Where
exactly.
This just came from the kitchen where the replicator is.
I mean, I could definitely see an evolved role of something like a restaurant because it could be more of a social experience.
Yeah.
And
you're meeting someone or you're just cabin fever. You all just want to get out of your quarters or your wherever.
Yeah. But would you expect the food to be any different anywhere else? And yes, I mean, there's always different recipes. But like, I feel like it would be always the perfect version of that recipe. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then what's to stop you from saying, "Oh, I had this chef's amazing recipe, this amazing replicator recipe at the restaurant. Now I can have this whenever I want at my house."
It wouldn't be like, send me the recipe, just like send me the whatever you call it. Well, I can understand sort of the genre.
I mean, because you're not doing it for the economics. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what
why
are
would
you
run
doing
a restaurant though?
Especially a restaurant where you have to peel your own potatoes.
Okay, but remember though, I mean, and again, Shar and Tristan were talking about this. It's because you want to. I mean, if you. Well, but no, I mean, there's people who would want to run a restaurant if money wasn't involved. They would still run a restaurant, just like Tristan said he would make videos and be a producer, even if he wasn't getting paid for it, if his needs were met. So it maybe not as many. There won't be as many restaurants, but then again, there's so many different types of food. So you might have 1, maybe 2 per type. I don't know.
Well, it makes me think of DS9 or the Promenade, where Quark's is pretty replicated. I mean, that's just like a pub. It's all replicated. I mean, it's good food, but it's replicated.
Yeah, it's bar food. Yeah,
but like the Klingon
Quark's Korean stew is crap.
I just watched that episode, by the way. I'm still doing my season 1 rewatch. But anyway, that was Chief O'Brien, Babel. That was that.
Yeah, Babel.
Yep. So anyway, the Klingon restaurant's across the street, and I'm sure he seems to make it. Maybe he replicates it for all I know. But I mean, that's a genre of food where you would not know, so it'd be cool to go to a restaurant and be like, hey, let's get some Klingon food. I've never had Klingon food. What would you recommend? And then they throw it at you, and you're like, oh, okay.
I just realized that guy, the chef from that restaurant, could be the host of our Klingon cooking.
Oh, Kachopt? Oh, well, yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I see the utility of, especially on something like Deep Space Nine, where it's literally kind of all out of necessity. It's a social thing. It's not culinary thing.
But
You know what I'm
planet
saying?
side, you're saying it's a little weird. Because, I mean, quarters, or excuse me, a starship or a space station, you're going to get so bored in your quarter. Well, I mean, it'd be hard to get bored in this ship. But anyway, but your quarters are so small after a while. You know, you want to get out, for goodness sake. A little less sterile environment, so like the mess hall, wherever. But yeah, like if you were planet side and you had your own crib, yeah, that'd be a little more difficult. Like when I was watching Voyager Non Sequitur, and like, you know, the guy has the coffee shop in San Francisco that Harry walks by when it's in that other reality. I'm like, really? He'd be running a coffee shop? But I don't know, I guess you would.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me. Like, I feel like in 300 years, or at least with the
I
technology
could replicate my own espresso at home.
Yeah, that we're presented with in Star Trek, food, you know, in every aspect of food, in the collection of it, and the creation of it, and the consumption of it, would be so very vast. The food economics of the future would be very different from our own, almost indistinguishable. But really, food has always been a social experience for humans. Like, that's something that we've always done in groups. But so I wonder how the Star Trek future could reflect that.
But I think the challenge is, and I'm not smart enough to do this in 30 seconds, it's not only the cooking aspect, it's the agricultural aspect. So, like, who's going to cultivate the beans or grow the whatever, or da-da-da-da. I mean, like, yes, there's hydroponics, and there's irrigation, and there's automation, but, like, you have to have farmers, you know, whether that's a technological position, which it is now. I mean, even farming in the 21st century is pretty technological.
Yeah, the EFH.
But still, you know, emergency medical or emergency farmer. But, like, there has to be an agricultural industry. So, like, there's people who are like, yes, I'll go to agricultural. Because...
It's all robots at that point, man.
Does that mean ECH is emergency cooking hologram?
That's right.
I do feel like if Neelix, you know, if I feel like cooking would be something that the Doctor might have picked up if Neelix wasn't around.
He was holding him back.
He liked to do all sorts of different things. I feel like he could have picked that up.
I think it's also just hard for us to wrap our heads around, because it kind of starts to dive into just how different their society must be, that it's just, you start to go down that rabbit hole of like
capitalism,
agriculture, like a non-capitalized system with replicators. It's not even the fact that it's not a capitalist-based system. It's the fact that literally, you know, I mean, energy is probably like so absorbent. You know, and the technology is there, so literally you could replicate anything. There's no scarcity, and that we just can't even get around that.
Mm-hmm. And it's like and the thing is too that you can eat 12 chocolate sundaes, and you're literally eating the same thing as celery and carrots. Like, it's, you know, make it healthy for you, but it tastes.
Well, I mean, like,
getting.
I was just watching. Well, I can't remember which one, but I was watching the Discovery episode. You know, where Tilly's ordering something for the replicator, and Michael's sort of countermanding her orders, and like salsa, and she's like, "No, get roasted tomato salsa," or, you know. So,
it's like, shove it, computer.
Yeah, but then I mean that sort of negates what you were saying about, like, well, it's all basic nutrition. I mean, you can order non-nutrition. I guess it's the parameters of the replicator.
Well, and we know in the future too, like 100 years after that, technology's advanced 100 years further. We know that they can order whatever the hell they want and be nutritionally supplemented. They'd be totally fine. So
right. Synthahol has not been invented yet, apparently.
And maybe that's it. Maybe you can have the healthy pizza loaf, you know, that doesn't it tastes like pizza, but it's healthy, but it doesn't taste as good, which is why there's a market for non-replicated stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, in other words,
Space CDC dictates that everything, or not CDC, FDA dictates that all food must be healthy for you.
The Federation. Oh Lord, that's still going to crack me up. This is the elite squad of making sure you're not.
Right along with the alcohol, synthahol, tobacco, and phasers.
Yeah. I feel like you do a lot more with the phasers than you do with the other two, don't you? No? Okay. Well, anyway. It's all a third, it seems like. Anyway.
You know, it's really interesting because I do feel like Star Trek is one of the most fleshed out sci-fi universes that exist. And even in something as basic as food, you know, as something as so primal and necessary, it doesn't have a clear picture. It doesn't have a good image of how that would work in the future. And I think that just goes to show the limitations of the writers and of the people that are making the show now. I think in 200, 300, 400 years, I mean, imagine how things could be. I mean, imagine if we could create any food at our fingertips with equal nutritional value. It would fundamentally change our lives and how we deal with things. It really would be an amazing revolution. But I love getting into those kind of tiny nitty gritty details that even the show doesn't deal with sometimes.
So I'm trying to remember. I don't think they get into it, but on Enterprise, Chef, I mean, he just has stocks. I mean, there's no replicator.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know what they.
I think they have like a resynthesizer.
But I don't even know. Yeah, but I don't know what that means necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume they can take maybe.
It's
some
like
sort
the
of...
Coke machine where you has little cartridges and you punch in that you want a root beer and then you get a root beer or a cherry Coke.
Oh yeah. That technology is very advanced now. Except
I assume it's some sort of advanced, like almost composting system where you can take.
Oh God! Do I want to think too much about where this is going?
Well, I mean, it's a spaceship. You have to reuse and recycle.
Gotta close the loop, Phillip.
It's just interesting to think about. And then in the 24th century, you can just literally ask for anything out of the wall, and we can create it out of thin air. It's amazing.
Well, it's also the thing of like where you don't feel bad about not finishing your plate because you just put it in the replicator and press the button and it disappears again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no waste.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. No dishes, just put it back in the replicator, and literally the plate and everything goes back into molecular level.
Knowing my wife and I, there'd still be just these stacks on the replicator because we haven't pressed the button.
It's always just one step back, right?
Well, sure, if I just put it there and push the button, it'll disappear and be all good. But then I got to walk over there.
I know. We're going to be like, have you heard? They have the replicator where you don't have to push the button. You just put it on there, and it disappears.
I want the replicator table. So I literally push the button, and it appears on my table. I don't even have to move.
Computer, site-to-site transport of all my dirty dishes into the replicator.
I'm going to coffee over here. I don't have to get off. Oh.
Then Riker comes by. Sir, I've noticed your energy use for your quarters is like 8 times normal. Is everything okay? Oh, yeah. No, I'm just replicating everything and site-to-site beaming it into my belly.
I wanted pie, and I was in my bed. Okay. I'm having a meat.
I mean, those beds do look really comfy. I wouldn't want to get out of those triangle pillows.
Not those pillows though. So.
All right, getting into the Starfleet sheets.
Or those their fancy shiny space pajamas that they have.
The Q had it right. The seats were satin.
All right, well, you know what? It's actually been fun, and I gave you guys a little bit of extra homework, but I hope that the fruits of your efforts were worth it. We learned a little bit from Papa Cisco. It might be worth peeling your potatoes by hand every once in a while, getting your hands dirty, and enjoying some of the lovely things that food has to offer.
I feel like we should do this again, like not like next month, but maybe like once a quarter.
Yeah, we could definitely revisit it and maybe thematically do it. We could do a chicken sandwich and coffee episode for Kirk, or we definitely.
Or we could all do desserts, or there's some different ways we can do it.
Certainly there's no shortage of food in Star Trek, so maybe we will definitely come back to this.
I want to hear about Daniel making pan-fried catfish.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to try to eat a breadstick with a fork.
I'll make my.
There you go.
I'll make my own root beer.
All right, well, great. That sounds good. Maybe we will revisit that in the future. All right, so Darren, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week, we are going to dive into the JJ verse. I guess Kelvin, you could call it that.
I don't.
And we're going to be talking about Star Trek 4 with the Kelvin actors. Now, I'm not talking about the shuttered, often canceled, who knows what it will be, Star Trek 4 as in their next movie. I'm talking about what if we took Chris Pine and all of those actors and put them in 1986 San Francisco with a couple of fun twists. I want us to go save the whales. We're saving the whales.
I kind of love this
guys.
idea.
I like it because we know inevitably every JJ movie steals the number of movie they are.
That's exactly. So we're just doing their work for them.
That
It's
sounds
going to be
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And I think the episode title already is going to be The One with the Whales.
All right. And Philip, if people wanted to get a hold of you and talk to you about your potato salad and why the metric system is or is not the best,
Oh, jeez.
how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Look, I'm just saying, I know the rest of the world, in fact, 99.9% of the world uses it, but I am in America, so deal with it. So they can find me on Twitter at @NCPublicServant, or if they do want to hear me talking about British things I do like, I do a Doctor Who podcast with my co-taster, co-host, and wife, Time and Space, a Doctor Who podcast.
And Darren, if people want to get a hold of you and find out what the best substitute for, what are they? Turtleberries?
Icoberries.
Icoberries, sorry. Icoberry torte, that's what it was, yeah. How are they get a hold
Turtle
of you?
Icos. Yes. They could find me on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI.
And just a real quick aside, because I just saw this week, there is somebody matched up two scenes from Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's where they're both creating a Sumerian sunset. It's Data when he is being the bartender, and it's Quark, which he's obviously the good bartender all the time. But anyways, they timed it exactly right so that when Data and Quark both flick the
glass.
the glass, and it actually creates the Sumerian sunset. It happens exactly in sync. It's really, really pretty. It's a really nice little thing that they did.
You have to send us the link. I
will.
I'll
send it. I'll find it to you and I'll send it to you. But anyways, people can find me on Twitter as well at OneUpDan. That's the number one, not the word. All right, everybody. I'm Daniel Brew.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
And I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on SETI Alpha 3.